Transition now from the raising of the Lazarus, which would happen a week or so before Easter week, to the west side of the church. The narratives don't change. They're exactly what they were on the other side. We have a central medallion all the way across, but it's compressed. On this side of the church, the life of Christ is compressed into 1 week. This is Easter week on this side of the church. It begins with Palm Sunday and ends with Pentecost. So we have Easter all on this side. And things happen very quickly. In the first window on this side, it's similar to all of the other windows. There is a central medallion outlined in deep, dark red here with Jesus on the donkey on Palm Sunday entering Jerusalem. It's obviously after the raising of Lazarus. Things go well at this point, but will rapidly go downhill. There are people in front of him laying palms. We can see those in front of the donkey. You have people all around him praying. Pretty obvious to most of us, most kids, most people know this would be Palm Sunday. There are even palms in the hands of several of the individuals around that central medallion with Jesus on the donkey. That medallion, central to this picture, the next in order in that life of Christ narrative. The other narratives are equally here, just like they are everywhere else. The change on this side, compared to the east side, instead of the 4 prophets, which we had on the east side, we have the 4 great doctors of the Western Church on this side. It's not a narrative, they're individually here. In the first one, which takes up the space in between the history medallion, which we'll get to momentarily, and the central medallion, is St. Ambrose. His name is there, if you weren't sure who it was. Based on the iconography and the image of St. Ambrose, you might be able to guess who it was if we didn't have his name prominent there. He was a bishop in Milan, actually baptized St. Augustine, who we'll see later, but he's identified not only with a crozier, which he's holding, and his mitre, which identifies him as a bishop. He also has the inspiration of the Holy Spirit with the dove on his shoulder. There are 2 additional things that are interesting to people that don't know the windows and are getting to look at it closely. In this case, he's holding something in his left hand. He has a crozier in his right hand. In his left hand, he has a scourge, or what you might identify as a whip. He was lauded for his ability to defend doctrine against heresy in the church. And symbolic of that is his aggressive behavior toward heresy. And he's often pictured with a scourge to help us remember that he was notable for that. The last bit of information about St. Ambrose would concern the other part of the iconography that's present in the picture. A little more challenging to identify, at least compared to the mitre and the crozier and the scourge and the symbol of the Holy Spirit with the dove. It has to do with bees. If you look, it appears that St. Ambrose might be sitting on something. It sometimes appears to people to be some kind of tiara. In this case, it's not. It's a beehive. And then if you know that, it's not hard to identify the circular image of those yellow, what are bees, going into that hive and out of that hive, and then making a circle around St. Ambrose. St. Ambrose was referred to often as the honey-tongued doctor, his eloquent speaking voice, and because of that, part of his iconography often includes bees. In this case, we wouldn't have to have his name there. If we saw the scourge and the bees and the beehive and the mitre and the crozier, we probably could identify St. Ambrose there. A little just similar to the doctors, but in this case, or similar to the prophets on one side, we have doctors now on this side. and that's the first one, St. Ambrose. The history medallion, which is always at the bottom of these large or tall windows, in this case a character a little closer to home. This would be Father Marquette. Father Marquette spends some time on the Mississippi River. He comes in from the lake to Green Bay and takes the Fox River to the Wisconsin River, and then manages to make his way with the help of natives and Louis Joliet, his companion. They will find the Mississippi. They won't go north the way Father Hennepin did and come up here. Father Hennepin associated with St. Anthony Falls. Father Marquette would go south. And he would go a long ways on the Mississippi south. But again, what's consistent and true in most of these windows with that regard is the Mississippi River and Father Marquette's connection with that. So we have a history medallion there. The first Western doctor of the church. The central medallion at the beginning of Easter week. And then at the top, the narrative continues with the wood of the cross. This beam, in this case, we've moved on past the fantastical stories of the Sibylla and the Queen of Sheba to another relative, in this case a grandson of Solomon named Abijah. He's pictured here with his wife, who still has her crown on. She's a queen. Abijah on the left. What's interesting now is the wood which had been covered with gold and silver by Solomon, but he couldn't make work and discarded. Not sure why the gold and silver don't show up in the stories of Sibylla or the Queen of Sheba. In this case, Abijah doesn't care about the wood, he wants the gold. And they've started a fire, and they will melt the precious metal off this beam, and then it will be discarded again. So the wood of the cross picks up again here with the grandson of Solomon, Abijah, his wife, stripping the precious metal from this same wood of the cross, or what will be the wood of the cross.